this.
Counting careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
What is up, everybody? It is Sunday night. It is the Georgia Show. I'm Jake Rowe. He's Rusty Mansell, and we are from DawgsHQ. Rusty, there's only really there's more than one thing to talk about. One big thing to talk about. That's James Coley's back at Georgia, brought back to the Georgia staff, announced on Saturday that he's coming back as the wide receivers coach, a post that he held for the first time in his career, mind you, for 2 years at Georgia in 2016, 2017, Kirby Smart's first 2 years. It's funny, Del McGee leaves as an OG of the Kirby Smart staff, and he gets another OG back. And we're going to talk about that running backs coach opening. But, Rusty, we got plenty to get to here with James Coley. And mixed reviews coming back, but in terms of fans, right? Like, folks have their own opinions. Cool, that's great. Not really worried about it, but we're going to tell you kind of what we know and what we've learned. And he just got hired by a second time by Kirby Smart to come back. Tells me kind of all I need to know in terms of what they think of him as a coach.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reaction from people, we have one of the most connected people to this program really ever under Kirby Smart, Matt Godwin, who's been on this podcast. He's done your podcast. He is a subscriber on our board. And, Matt worked hand in hand with Kirby Smart for 4 years. He was the right-hand man, and he was last night. His quote on the hiring on our board was, "This is a great hire. This guy's high energy. He's a great recruiter. He's a great area recruiter. He's very connected in South Florida. Just a high energy, great everyday person to have around the building." And I don't know that I could say anything different other than I felt like Thursday morning when we did our insider notes, I was like, look, there's some traction here. We had him originally on our board, but there was some traction late in the week, and I think Georgia did their due diligence and familiarity with him. He's recruited his state. He's recruited South Florida really, really hard for Georgia, and landed James Cook, Tyson Campbell. He was huge in George Pickens. There's a lot of things there that James Coley, I think Georgia had the confidence that this is our guy.
I reached out to Matt as well, Rusty, and a little later than you did, and not just him, not just George Pickens, kind of in that class, and after he was, he had moved on to coaching quarterbacks at Georgia, which he also did for 2 years, and the year of the offensive coordinator. Listen, we'll get into that a little bit, but Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, big role in that recruitment. Jermaine Burton, big role in that recruitment. And I'm not sitting here trying to say like, all right, well, those guys changed the program. I mean, they helped Georgia win a national title. They helped Georgia, between the two of them, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint kind of played a bigger role in that 2022 national title. Jermaine Burton definitely had a role in that 2021 national title. James Coley was involved with both of those guys heavily. You mentioned George Pickens. Listen, I've been critical at times, right? Because, and I'm not saying, like, if I look at Georgia's coaching hires, Rusty, we've covered dozens of them over the past, 10, 12 years, 14 years, whatever, however long we've been in this. I can count two. I worked on this today. I literally went by and I worked on it today. I can count two, Rusty, that when Georgia hired them, that you couldn't say anything about them, right? You couldn't say one thing. There's been two that you couldn't poke holes in. Sam Pittman and Jeremy Pruitt, coming off a national title at Florida State. Sam Pittman and Jeremy Pruitt. There's been two. Every other one you could say something. Well, this didn't work out for them at this point, or they had a bad eval here, or they did this, or they did that. I mean, even Todd Monken, he had been on 2 straight staffs that had gotten fired in the NFL. I mean, I'm not sitting here going to tell you that James Coley is a perfect coach, but I'll tell you this. If you're out there on Twitter, or if you're on the DawgsHQ message board, the Dog Walker, if you're in the comments and you're saying James Coley sucks as a coach, that's your opinion, and I'm not going to try to change your mind, but I can tell you this. Kirby Smart disagrees with you. Because if you look back, Rusty, do you remember when Georgia hired Todd Monken and Coley kind of had to be demoted, step down? That press release gave you every indication to believe they really would have liked to have kept him on staff at the time. They knew it probably wasn't going to happen.
Oh yeah, they'd have kept him. Yeah, no doubt.
But they said that he was that at that point they wanted to keep him on staff as an offensive assistant.
Yeah,
that's just the way it goes.
I think it's so hard to separate. He did not have a great year at offensive coordinator, and Kirby Smart, the head of this organization, recognized it, and he made a change. But wide receiver wise, quarterback wise, those types of things, I think there's value there. I think James Coley, he's been at Texas A&M, South Carolina, hired him pretty quick. This guy's been there, LSU, all these places that he's been. He's been in line to get jobs the next time and had promotions and those types of things. So listen, I can make it real simple. I love the hire. I do think that there was a couple of candidates I've been okay with. I never bought the kind of the Hines Ward type deal. I know that name always comes up. I'm just not sure that Hines wants to jump into this. I'm not sure that Georgia wants to hire a guy that's never done it at this level yet, but won't surprise me one day in some way, some fashion or form if Hines Ward's a part of Georgia staff somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Like, he can be an off the field guy, and you'd be crazy not to want him there. But this Georgia is built that you don't wait a year to break somebody in. Like, you got to go tonight. And guess what? He was talking to players last night. He was talking to recruits last night. So I would imagine he signed the paperwork yesterday and he got going. Like, there's no cushion here. That's one thing Kirby has created is the time frame of it's national championship time in Athens every year. Like, this roster is built to play the last game of every year. Now, hasn't happened every time, but the roster now in there is built to play next year, January 20th in Atlanta. And there's no time to sit back and say, hey, we need to, there was just a trust factor there. This guy can step in and get it done. And I'm excited about some of the things he's going to do. And you got to congratulate Brian McClendon going to the NFL, does some great Job. Great thing for Dale to get a head coach, gets to coach his son, gets to move to Atlanta. Just a lot of good things, man, happening for those guys, and you want those guys. Selfishly, if you're a Georgia fan, you would love to keep everybody, but you have to kind of step back and go, hey, man, thank you for everything you have done here. Go be great there. Go do your thing there, because like I said on the Dog Walk, our message board, it's a lot different now, man. When you walk into a school with that G on your chest, that's a totally different deal. You know what I mean? You don't have to be – that thing helps you. That thing helps you a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the alpha of alphas. That G on your chest is a pretty damn powerful thing now.
No doubt about it. And Rusty, another one of those guys that couldn't tell you when they pick up the trash during the week. He couldn't light a big green egg, couldn't pay the cable bill. He's wired different. He's wired to do this job. He's another one of those guys that's got what it takes to do that. And listen, I know it comes down to the guy in the big office, the guy behind the big desk. It's coming down to Kirby, right? And the guy that's going to make everybody do their job. But you've also got some guys like James Coley as recruiters. They're tireless. And I want to say this too, Rusty. Listen, we've done this for a while, and I think sometimes when you have nice things maybe to say about a coach that's been at Georgia before, I think folks kind of get the impression, oh man, he must be in the bag for that guy. Listen, I've had one conversation with James Coley in my whole life, and it was about 10 years ago. About 8 years ago. Georgia was recruiting Demetrius Robertson. He was with Glenn Schumann at state track meet. Came over, introduced myself, was a nice guy, cool guy, talked about some stuff. He talked to me about coaching Andre Johnson whenever Andre Johnson was in high school. Talked about some coaches that we knew, from different parts of, his job. And we had a good conversation, maybe 20 minutes. Walked away. I haven't talked to him again. Never again. Haven't had one conversation with him. The guy's never helped me break a story. Will never help me break a story, probably. With all of that said, I think he had some recruiting misses the first time he was at Georgia. I look back at that first big class. He got Riley Ridley and Javon Wims. Javon Wims was not a slam dunk despite being committed to Georgia when Kirby Smart took over. But he got Riley Ridley, developed Riley Ridley, did the same thing with Javon Wims. Terry Godwin had his best season under James Coley as wide receivers coach in 2017. That 2017 class that Georgia signed, Mark Webb ended up moving to defensive side of the ball. Trey Blunt didn't pan out. Matt Landers, for whatever reason, couldn't get it together at Georgia, but was a very talented kid, very, very much talented enough to help and be a very good player at the college level. Jeremiah Holloman was an absolute stud. Nobody saw what came coming off the field. Never been more shocked in my entire life at something happening with a player off the field, but was an absolute bona fide stud.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with James Coley, the wide receivers coach at Georgia. Don't extrapolate it and push it on down the road to 2021, 2020 misses and things like that. He helped out. Listen, I talked to Godwin. Godwin said, hey, Marcus Rosemary, Jack Saint, Jermaine Burton, big roles. George Pickens, big role.
Jermaine Burton, zero chance. Zero chance he's at Georgia without James Coley.
Yeah,
so
he's playing ball at LSU.
Yeah. He's going to be in the NFL soon, regardless of what you think about him.
True,
that's
100%.
And one thing here,
that's a different discussion altogether. You got to compartmentalize when it comes to that stuff. Did the guy? It all comes down to sometimes you talk about coaches winning battles for recruits that didn't pan out. It happens all the time, like a MJ Sherman, right? Like MJ Sherman did not pan out. Super highly tested. I mean, it did show while he didn't turn out to be a very good player at Georgia or a difference-making player at Georgia, Dan Lanning won a big battle to get MJ Sherman
against Ohio State.
Shows your recruiting chops. Like you win those battles, you win those battles. If the player becomes a good player or not, those are two separate things.
Yeah, and listen, I've said it again too. For whatever reason, the state of Georgia's been down at wide receiver, and you go back and look at Rashad Bateman, and that's the one that people kind of talk about because Rashad Bateman wanted to go to Georgia. It worked out for Georgia. They didn't offer him. Minnesota. Now listen, Florida State, Alabama, everybody passed on Rashad Bateman. Until later on when he went to Minnesota. That's the one. And Georgia, at the start of the football season, they did offer him. So James Coley did offer him, but at that point, Minnesota had done everything right and said, look, this is what Georgia's going to do. And this is what Alabama's going to do. And this is what Florida State's going to do. All these schools are going to come in on you late, and you're going to be a backup. So they had him wired right, and he went to Minnesota, and he wound up being a first-round draft pick. So that was the one you kind of miss on, I think. But listen, the one thing I'll tell you, the best thing is now, for whatever reason, the state of Georgia's been down. But it's not down anymore. And wide receiver. And, I talked with Travis Smith last night, one of the top targets out of Westlake High School. And he said, look, already talked to Coach Coley, man. Very excited. Great recruiter. Already know him. So that's good news, man. And, you look at these guys and, it's such a different position now, wide receiver. It's such a different position, such a transfer portal type deal. But, we're going to watch Ladd McConkey work out this weekend. And, enjoy that. He never had a dent in Georgia fans, never even thought twice about him and how special he was. And some of those things. And they got a great, very talented room right now, I think, with some depth. But I am excited about the 2025 class. I think Georgia's got a really good chance there to lock down some wide receivers, especially in state, man, because it's finally some D line, finally some O line, and finally wide receivers all in one class. And oh, by the way, a 5-star quarterback reclassifies in the 2025 class. So Georgia's got a great opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, digging into Coley just one last time here. The offensive coordinator thing didn't work out. Another thing I've seen is the Kirby Smart, friend hire, all that stuff. Kirby had never worked with Coley before he hired him.
No, they were together at LSU.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. They had been, and when Coley was a GA, I believe, right?
Yep. Yep.
Coley was a GA at the time.
Coley
Yeah.
was in those. Coley came from high school from Miami,
Yeah.
and there was a wide receiver there that wound up being a super freak at LSU. He coached him in high school. That was kind of the connection.
Okay.
So, yeah, back in the day, I can't remember who that was, but Coley was a high school coach in Florida, so he's just very, very connected there. I remember going down to film the James Cook commitment, and I remember talking to the coach at Miami Central.
Yeah.
And one of the coaches at Miami Northwestern, and I was like, they just raved about James Coley. So he's going to do. It's crazy. Tomahawk Dog asked, "Did Coley ever play ball?" I don't think Coley played ball. I don't think Coley played. I know he didn't play college. Neither did Glenn Schumann. And that, and everybody, all the schools used to negative recruit Glenn Schumann because he didn't play college football. He was an office assistant at Alabama. Started out basically as a manager, and now he's one of the top, most coveted defense coordinators in football and one of the most elite recruiters. So I love that. I love that those people those get shot down. But I don't think Coley did not play college football at all.
No, he played at Miami Senior High School, and that's the extent of his playing career. And then he kind of came back, and I think he coached quarterbacks there. And there was a little bit of there was a connection there with Kirby at Miami as well, and with the Dolphins. They did coach there together in 2006. So there is that connection as well. So there is a little bit more of a connection there, but they went they literally went about 10 years without ever coaching together, getting hired on the same staff, any of that stuff. And Kirby gave him his first shot to coach wide receivers in 2016. He worked that job for 2 years. Was co-OC and quarterbacks coach in 2018. Then he was OC in 2019. Obviously, that didn't work out. And Kirby remedied that quick, brought in Todd Monken, and Coley moves on to Texas A&M. But guys, I'm telling you right now, like we can all kind of have our opinion on it, and sometimes I think we all need to kind of say something that I feel like I don't know, maybe I've just done this long enough. I'm not trying to say that I'm right when I say this, because I don't know. I'm literally telling you I don't know. There's a lot we don't know. You can fill oceans and oceans and oceans with information we don't have about what goes on up at the University of Georgia and every other program in America, despite as strong as we want to talk about it, as strong as we want to have an opinion on it. And you're welcome to have that. But I think we all need to understand that, Kirby evaluated this guy for 2 straight years as a wide receivers coach, and he wants him back. Like, had his choice of several other guys that would have loved to have had that job, dozens of other guys that would have loved to have had that job. And he brings back a guy that he feels like can do a really good job at it. And we know his recruiting chops. I think all that's good.
I just think that people had in their mind it was going to be Hines Ward. And that's just, it is what it is, man. People care, and people are dying to have Hines Ward in there. And I know Hines, and smart dude. Now he's a lot more football knowledge than maybe people think. He's got some X and O, and this guy can coach now. Like, this guy can X and O and do those things, but it's a lot different jumping into this room right now. But it's just I had the feeling that was not going to happen. Another thing people bring up is Thomas Brown, running back coach. We'll talk about that, but it's so funny. I had a coach I know recently talked to Thomas Brown, and his quote was, "I wouldn't come back to college for $5 million in cash." I mean, once you're firmly entrenched into that NFL, and Thomas Brown's such a hell of a coach. Like, he's going to just keep going from team to team every couple of years. That's just the way they all recycle. I mean, they go everywhere, but congratulations, Thomas Brown, doing a great job. It makes me feel old covering him and some of the things he's got, but that's a name that we definitely
the thing I want people to understand here, and I think you'll back me up on this, is, would Kirby Smart tell Thomas Brown no if he called him up and said, "I wanted to come be your running back"? Dude, there's not a guy, like, I have heard this on multiple occasions. There's not a guy that Kirby Smart thinks more of than Thomas Brown.
Kirby Smart would send Mary Beth. Kirby Smart would make Mary Beth drive the U-Haul up there to help him move. It's not that crazy.
He's a big Thomas Brown fan. Thomas Brown had a spot on that Georgia coaching staff when Kirby took over. Like, that was a guy that Kirby wanted, and he coached in 05, and those two hit it off.
you never say never. One day, Thomas Brown, he's such a bulldog, and he may go, you know what, 7 or 8 years from now, he goes, no, I may give this thing a try, but right now it's definitely not the time for him. He is firmly entrenched into the NFL. He understands the offseason. Thomas Brown and Brian McClendon are best friends.
Yeah.
And don't think that Thomas Brown ain't telling Brian McClendon, hey, dog, I'm off all summer. You want to play some golf or are you going to be at camp? So, it's probably some conversations there that took place. Interesting. John Lilly was on the staff with Thomas Brown up at Carolina. And, those guys, John Lilly, former Georgia coach, he's been at Cleveland. He's been in North Carolina. He's been at Carolina Panthers. And
did he ever actually coach at Notre Dame? I thought he got hired at Notre Dame. Did he actually?
I thought he went to Notre Dame for a little while, and then he was going to then Carolina popped up, I think. Carolina popped up. So, but Coach Lilly, great guy. We all know him. And every time you talk about Terry Godwin, man, Roquan Smith. You want to talk about Roquan Smith? You want to talk about anything with Roquan Smith playing the University of Georgia, don't you ever forget John Lilly. Because the second that John Lilly was able to offer Roquan Smith, he started the process. And even though they finished, second in the initial press conference, they wouldn't even been in it without John Lilly. And Georgia fans owe him a lot of thank you because John Lilly went after Roquan Smith after some guys on that staff that were in that office did not want to offer Roquan Smith, and they didn't. And when they moved on, John got the phone and called Macon County High School and said, "You got an offer from Georgia right now." So, good luck to Coach Lilly and Georgia fans. You owe him a big ass thank you, for lack of a better term.
Before we want to move on, Connor Parmalee comes in with this a point that Rusty has made quick. Rusty made this point to me before the hire was ever made public that if Georgia got James Coley, that's an incredible tandem in a talent-rich portion of the country to have Travaris Robinson, T-Rob, and James Coley. I mean, you want to talk about a 1-2 punch, Starsky and Hutch down there in South Florida. Hell, I don't even know where Starsky and Hutch was based, probably L.A., but we'll say Starsky and Hutch Miami edition.
That's right.
But yeah, for sure. Those two, that is a really, really strong combo. So let's get to it, Rusty. Running backs coach, opening, still open. Not a surprise. I think a lot of folks thought that Georgia may move quick on Jimmy Smith. I told him on Friday, Georgia's going to go through a process here. They're not in a massive, big hurry here. This is the time of year where, hell, if you're going to lose a coach, that's one of the perks of it. You don't have to, decide something real quick. What do you think about this opening and how they're going to handle it? Do you see it kind of being like a week-long deal with like the receivers coach?
I don't know, but Will Gleason.
That one literally lasted 7 days.
Will Gleason hits it right on the head. Crockett and Tubbs in South Florida. That's exactly what that would be with those two guys.
That's what it is. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm just
Miami Vice. Miami Vice. That's my day there. When initially told, my initial prediction was the wide receiver would be filled within 10 days. They had some stuff going on where some coaches were kind of out of the office with some stuff they were doing. So I knew it was going to be a little more difficult to get some things done other than Zoom. And that kind of took a little while. So you officially come open Friday night but we kind of knew it was going to come open for Dale. So I would say, I would be comfortable saying they will have that job filled, I would say by the end of this week, because you want to get those guys in for as quick as you can to get terminology and spring practice prep going. Now, here's the thing, too. Throw this variable in there. I'm really confident that it will happen at the end of this week because the next week after that is spring break.
Yeah.
And all the coaches and players.
Now, do the coaches tell people this?
Yes.
Will the coaches step away, or will the coaches anchor down and get ready for spring practice at that point?
No. They'll all be divorced. They're going. Let me tell you something. They're all alpha males. They're going on spring break somewhere. They'll be at lakes, beaches. But those bosses that live at home and handle business all year round, they're going to go. They're going to go in spring, and the kids are gone. I mean, the kids are gone. I've heard stuff that Kirby makes them do. They make them. I can say this now. They make them do videos of daily running. You know, what are you doing exercise wise? What are you doing cardio wise? And I won't play his name, but evidently you had to send in your videos to the strength staff every single day. You have to send in like, this is what I'm doing cardio, especially if you're in the morning weight club. You know what I mean? You have to check in. But a couple of years ago, I heard of a player on spring break was sitting on the back of a boat, and he videoed himself doing some 12-ounce curls. And he sent that video in and said, here's what I'm doing today, coach, on the back of a boat. So those kids get to unwind spring break, and good for them. And coaches will be gone. So I'm pretty confident that this running back hire will be made this week at some point, because you want to get that done before spring break, because you don't want that thing carried into that week and coaches dealing with those types of things. There'll be a couple. There's always a couple of those guys that hang around, and kids are competing, and I'll say it here, Mike Bobo's kids, his 3 daughters are playing in the Elite 8 Tuesday or Wednesday, and if they win that, they'll be in the Final Four the next week. So something like that could derail vacation. I'm sure everybody be happy to if your kids make it into something like that, a once in a lifetime deal. But North
it also
Oconee,
kind of depends on where these coaches' kids go to school too, when spring break is for those high schools. Because I know Clark County, right there in Athens, they go on spring break at the same time. But Oconee County,
I think Athens Academy and maybe Prince, and then one more county is tied in with the universities.
Yeah.
And if not,
I know Athens, Clark County's tied in with the university.
That's way. We got another whole discussion. That's just way too damn early for me. Even college spring break early is crazy, but
college spring break way too early.
I think it'll be done, and you just, and Kirby Smart and his staff just don't turn them loose and say, hey, hit us back in a week. I mean, it is, you check in and you get, dude, they'll come back the Sunday. I've heard horror stories about this. It makes me nauseous thinking about it. They'll come back the Sunday from spring break, and they do a team run, and I heard that thing is, whew, he runs the spring break out of you right there, buddy.
So you better open them pores back up.
Hey, you ain't coming in hot on Saturday afternoon into Athens and think you're going to hydrate on Sunday morning, make that team run. There's accountability, and that Sunday team run, I've heard from players like, boy, that is the one. That's the rough one.
Sunday team run, Monday walk through, probably an early Tuesday walk through, and then practice again. Start practice for that acclimation period, and then man, I'm excited. I'm excited about spring practice. It'll be here before you know it.
It's here. How many days?
Yeah.
So was that the 12th?
It'll be 14. It'll be 14 from Tuesday. So 16 days.
Yeah, that is 16 days from spring practice. 16 days. For me, when spring practice gets here, because as soon as spring practice is over, as soon as G Day is over, think about this, and guys in the comment and ladies in the comment, as soon as the spring game is over, Saturday, the portal opens up Monday, and it's only open for 2 weeks. So it is going to, when spring practice starts here in 16 days, it's go time. It's going to be crazy how fast and how much stuff is going to be going on for the next 2 months. And then we transition right into OVs. We transition right into, camps and stuff like that. And listen, we don't have to bring it up tonight, but we will touch on it at some point. And there's a lot of talk of a June signing day at the end of June. And that could be, the SEC wants no part of that. But the other conferences, some of them do. But I think what we're going to see is that first Wednesday in December, it will be the new early sign day. So that'll move things up 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I got this question here. I definitely wanted to try and get this answered. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Scott Cochran, who resigned and stepped down. If you're talking about that, they announced that initially. I cannot remember. They're promoting within, and I have like an idiot, I have lost the name of who was going to be stepping up there.
Kirk Benedict.
Kirk Benedict, correct.
Kirk.
Golly, I could not remember his name for anything. I want to say it was Kent somebody, but no, Kirk Benedict, who has been a special teams coordinator before, and they speak very highly of him. I honestly, dead serious, when I saw the thing, I didn't know who the guy was, so I asked some folks about him, and positive returns all around there for him. So that's where that's at. All right, here's our deal. So I'll be going to the NFL Combine later this week, leaving on Wednesday.
What's that shirt? What's that shirt you got on there?
This is that Athens DawgsHQ.
Where'd you steal that one at?
Yeah, this was my idea. I had them made.
Nice.
No, I'm just playing. This is Rusty. Rusty handed me off one of these at the Under Armour camp last weekend. So I finally
he start giving some out. We need to give a warning when we're going to do it.
Yeah, if you want one, we need to come up with some good ways to maybe get some trivia going here on the show. Get a see if anybody's got. We'll maybe do Rusty trivia. See if anybody knows any facts about Rusty that they can share.
We not want to do Rusty trivia.
We want to do Rusty trivia pre-1997.
We do not
know anything about Rusty factual before 1997. We'll take it.
There was no social media. Lord have mercy. But,
Dylan Brooks, I will not be running the 40-yard dash at the combine. I can run the 40-yard dash as fast backwards as I can forward.
Who are you most excited? Who are you most excited about seeing up there? Combine.
I want to see what Brock Bowers runs in the 40, man. I really want to see what Brock Bowers runs in the 40, and I hope he runs it. I really do hope he runs it because I don't think he has to. But I am stoked to see him run the 40. And that's why, Palmer's giving me a little intel. He covered it for us last year. You can sit in the stands, you got a section and you can cover it, but you don't get to see any of the times. So I don't know if I'm going to waste any time sitting in the stands to watch it. I'm going to get on. I'm going to get to television.
Be somewhere hydrating with the TV.
I'm going to get to television. I'm going to hydrate in the Centurion Club on the way there.
So two people I'm interested in. I think Amaris Mims is going to be freaky, man. I don't know exactly what he's going to run, but I think his drill work is going to be insane. But Dajon Edwards, want to see what he runs. I think it's going to be really important for him. He has good tape. I think he has good tape, and I think a lot of people are interested in him. You look at Kansas City, and they get Isaiah Pacheco, a guy that's, kind of a runner like that, hard to hit, and they get him in the 7th round because people are a little bit worried about him, some of the questions. And you look at Dajon Edwards, and we all kind of know everything he's been through, playing behind people, some injuries. But, man, when he got a chance, and here's the thing, too, man, about NFL, he didn't have a lot of carries on him.
Yeah.
He don't have a lot.
More Kendall Milton do.
Yeah. So if Dajon Edwards runs good, and I'm talking if he runs 4.6 flat, if he runs 4.6 flat with his tape, if he's a 5th or 6th rounder, I think he brings a lot of value. And if he goes 4.75, that's going to be an issue. But if he goes,
I think if he can get in under 4.7 at all, I think if he can get in like mid 4.6s or something like that, I think he's got a chance to. And I still think that I think that every guy that is invited to this combine from Georgia is going to have a chance to make some money playing the game. Whether they get drafted or not, they'll get a good undrafted free agent contract. I don't think this is a situation we've seen in the past where any of these guys particularly are going to get, what do they call them? They're like rookie mini camp invites, like they're not necessarily signed as free agents. They just get invited to camp to show you what they got. I'm interested in every 40 really. But, those running backs and Brock Bowers, Lab McConkey really come to mind for me. I obviously, Marcus Rosenby, Jack Saint, Kamari Lassiter, too. I mean, that's another one. But Kamari Lassiter finds a way because, going back to Matt Godwin, I was talking with him about Kamari months ago, and he said, Kamari is one of those rare guys that got to Georgia and got significantly faster.
Yeah,
like he ran significantly better from year 1 to year 2. And I think, man, if Kamari comes in here and finds a way to kind of get in there to mid 4.4s, you're talking about maybe a 1st-round guy there.
If he runs 4.4, he's going in the 1st round.
Yeah,
I don't know that he's going to run 4.4, but
yeah, I don't know either. DeAndre Baker did it. I think he was 4.51.
His tape is so damn good, though. Kamari Lassiter against Luther Burden, that made him.
Yeah,
that when they locked him, we could go on and on, man. But you want to talk about a damn defensive scheme by Georgia, and they hadn't shown it all year. And they go 3-on-3, and they put Kamari Lassiter, because I was on the field shooting photos for us, and I was like, is he in the slot? And they just manned him up with Luther Bird. He had 2 catches. And that tape, man, is going to make Kamari. If Kamari Lassiter runs 4.4, he's a first rounder. I'm telling you. The question's going to be, if he runs 4.58, would that put him in the mid second round? Because he's got great tape, and they know playing at Georgia, he's physical, and he'll run support and all those. The question's going to be top end speed, and there's a reason only 32 of them guys go in the first round, and you better check a lot of damn boxes to go in that first round.
That's right. Todd Hall says if there's a combine for hydration, Jake would make some money. They'd name the combine after me if that was the thing. No, I can't keep up with Jake Roos. That's for sure.
Jake Roos, they would retire his jersey after 1 year.
They would. It'd be Rafters, baby. Rafters.
Yeah, I don't even. When Jake Roos orders grown man drinks. Like if I ordered a high noon around Jake Roos, I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid what he'd do to me. So I don't.
Jake Roos orders them craft beers that sound like an NFL play call.
Oh, dude. Yes. Got like 2 sentences. Yes.
Yeah, 2-sentence beers. All right, so Tuesday morning we'll be back with you, me and Palmer. Well, on the Tuesday show, then Roos and Palmer will be with you on Thursday because I'll be at the combine, and then we'll be back with you next Sunday to recap the combine and talk about all that. But for this episode, that's all we got. Hope you'll have a fantastic start to your week, and take care.